Let's talk about Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts find themselves in a very tough situation. They have not won their division since 2014, and at least every other team in this division has won the division once or twice since then. And the last time they made the NFL playoffs was in 2020. And right now, they're at a tipping point. Now, Jim Irsay has confirmed this, and as we see right now, they're going to bring back Chris Ballard. They're going to bring back Shane Steichen. They need to figure this thing out, and they have to find a way to be competitive in this division. Now, the Indianapolis Colts, they have not been one of the worst teams in the NFL consistently over the last 10 years. Like I mentioned before, you went to the NFL playoffs in 2020. That was a solid stint. In 2014, that's the last time that you won your division. But the quarterback has always been an issue with his organization since Andrew Luck went down and he retired. Andrew Luck retired due to injuries. He did not want to play anymore in the NFL due to the injuries that he suffered. The Indianapolis Colts consistently gave him one of the worst offensive lines that we have ever seen on a yearly basis. And until the last year of his career, and when it was time to go out there and play, he said, I'm done. He retired in the preseason, which made the fans go out there and boo him because it was a shocking move. He retired at the last minute. Jacoby Brissett was a starting quarterback. Then we got to see Sam Elger, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz. Not in that exact order, but all of those quarterbacks have started games for the Colts since then. And you can also put Gardner Minshew in that conversation. And now you can slide in Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was selected in the first round 2 years ago by the Colts. And at the time, that was a controversial pick. Till this day, it is still a controversial pick. And the reason why I say that, Anthony Richardson, his last season in college, he went out there and he did not produce a great season. You would think that Anthony Richardson went out there and he had one of the best seasons in college football history because this kid came out of nowhere. His last year, he had 17 passing touchdowns to 9 interceptions. That does not scream first round pick. And he was not a refined passer inside the pocket either. He was limited on the throws that he could make at the college level. A bunch of post routes, a bunch of screens, and also a bunch of slants. That was it. But it was the fact that he could move around a lot and he could be a dominant physical threat on the field against college level competition. What also screams first round pick is the fact that he is 6'4", 244 pounds. Many analysts compared him to be the next Cam Newton. And the Indianapolis Colts, they were sold. Shane Steichen saw the work that he was able to do with Justin Herbert many years before. And we just saw him go out there and do great work with Jalen Hurts. He helped Jalen Hurts go out there and sign one of the biggest contracts at the time for a quarterback. He really developed Jalen Hurts into becoming a top quarterback in this league. And when you look at Anthony Richardson, he's not far off from Jalen Hurts in terms of being a power runner, a guy that can go out there and make a lot of passes underneath. But he does struggle with pushing the football down the field. Now, Jalen Hurts was more so of a refined passer coming out of the college level because his last season in college, he was coached up by Lincoln Riley. Anthony Richardson did not have the same starts, did not play as many games as Jalen Hurts did at the college level. He played a lot of snaps with Alabama. He played a lot of snaps with Oklahoma. Anthony Richardson, not so much. And it brings us over into this topic today with the Colts. Anthony Richardson, in his first 2 years, 11 passing touchdowns to 13 interceptions. This is a guy that has struggled to stay healthy also. He did not finish out his rookie season. Gardner Minshew had to go out there and finish that season, and they were just one play away from potentially beating the Houston Texans and winning that game and making the NFL playoffs for the first time since 2020. And they would have also won this division for the first time since 2014. So when I look at Shane Steichen, I do believe that he is a very good coach. Is he a very good head coach? He's still unproven. But as an offensive mind, he deserves a place in the NFL for sure. As a head coach, he may have too much on his plate, but the offense did look decent with Gardner Minshew. And Gardner Minshew is not a starting caliber quarterback in this league. The man almost found a way to get this team to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew. And when you look at Anthony Richardson, like I mentioned, had a concussion in his rookie year, hurt his shoulder that ended his season. Fast forward into this season we just moved off of. He got injured against the Steelers. Before he got injured, he did look very good in that game, but it was early on in that matchup. Joe Flacco had to come in and finish out the game for him, and Joe Flacco did show better moments this year. They went out there and they sat down Anthony Richardson, not only due to the injuries, but the fact that he tapped out of a game on his helmet because he was too tired, but they put him right back in the game. Anthony Richardson has shown some good moments, but it's not consistent enough. And even his best moments, they're bland as a passer. He has the body. He has the speed in the open field. He's not a fast quarterback like a Lamar Jackson. He's not going to juke and spin around, but he can go out there and he can run over defenders. And that's part of the problem. He's too reckless. He's not saving himself. He's not running out of bounds. That's why his hip gave out against the Steelers in that matchup. It's a huge learning curve with this kid. And it is not fair to the rest of the veterans on the Indianapolis Colts to wait up for Anthony Richardson to fully develop. Because when he fully develops, Jonathan Taylor will be far out of his prime. Quentin Nelson may be on the back end of his career. They need Anthony Richardson to fully develop right now. This is why I was in favor of him sitting down his rookie year. Let him sit behind Gardner Minshew. Maybe he would have never got injured. And then you put him into the game in his second year in the league. And if he's not ready to play in his second year, let him sit behind a guy like Joe Flacco, and then you start over with Anthony Richardson. They should have finished out the season with Joe Flacco, but they didn't do that. And I'm not saying that they were going to make the NFL playoffs with Joe Flacco, even though he did help the Cleveland Browns make the playoffs the year before. But Joe Flacco right now, he's a better passer inside the pocket than Anthony Richardson. It takes more than just being a good athlete at that position to get your team over the hump. There's a bunch of quarterbacks in this league. They're very good with their legs. They can throw the football down the field 50, 60 yards. That doesn't make you a good quarterback. It's your poise. It's your accuracy. It's your wherewithal. And Anthony Richardson does not have that. A lot of that is on him. But at the same time, I feel for Anthony Richardson. He did not select himself in the first round. That came from Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen. And even though I love Shane Steichen as a coach, this may have just been a terrible move. I will say give him more time. And they plan on putting competition in this room with Anthony Richardson to see who the best quarterback will be. But at the same time, they have shown favoritism to Anthony Richardson. He was not a better passer than Gardner Minshew inside the pocket. We saw this his rookie year, even though he had those solid moments. He is not ready to be a starter in the NFL just yet. He can be in the next couple of years, but they have rushed this process. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle because he has now started games. He started games his rookie season. He started games his sophomore year. And he tried to overcome that adversity when they benched him in favor of Joe Flacco because he tapped out of the game. I want to see Anthony Richardson succeed because this division, they can be loaded at the quarterback position. Right now, the Tennessee Titans, they have Will Levis. All the reports, they're saying that they plan on moving off of Will Levis. But you look at the rest of the quarterbacks. You have Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of potential there with him and his brand new head coach, Liam Cohen. CJ has looked like a superstar his first 2 years in this league. And they have won this division over the last 2 years. And I look at the Indianapolis Colts. You have the talent around Anthony Richardson. This is why I'm also concerned because you have solid wide receivers. Even though they did drop the football a lot early on in the season, they finished the season very strong. Now, the wide receivers, they do have to help out Anthony Richardson and secure the ball better because they had a lot of drops and a lot of this was just concentration drops. And you have a very good running back in Jonathan Taylor. And it brings me over to the rest of the offense. The offensive line, when they're fully healthy, they're solid. I like the pieces that they have. Quentin Nelson is one of the best guards in the game. You have Bernard Raymond at the left tackle position, Ryan Kelly at the center position, and you have Braden Smith at the right tackle position. So you're very good from tackle to tackle. As long as Anthony Richardson is not going out there, he's not holding on to the football for too long, and he's not throwing costly interceptions, the offensive line will give him enough time inside the pocket. But he has to have better pocket presence. When I look at Jonathan Taylor has struggled to be healthy over the last few years, but he is still one of the better running backs to have. He had 1,431 rushing yards, 11 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 5 yards a carry. He did have a terrible moment against the Denver Broncos to where he fumbled the football right before he crossed the plane. You can't have those moments. And that was a momentum shifter for the Denver Broncos. And it helped the Denver Broncos dominate that game from that point on. But Jonathan Taylor is still one of the best running backs to have. And he's a true bell cow as long as he can stay healthy. When I look at the wide receivers, Michael Pittman Jr., he is a very good wide receiver. And I do believe that Pittman Jr. is a true number one. Alec Pierce had a breakout season this year. He put up video game numbers. Even though he had a lot of drops this season, Alec Pierce went out there and he had 824 receiving yards, 7 receiving touchdowns on only 37 catches. On only 37 catches, this man had over 800 receiving yards. That's insane. He averaged 22 yards a catch. And this is a kid that has struggled in the past to be a top receiving threat with the Colts. I really like Alec Pierce as a deep threat. And Alec Pierce, he had a lot of strong moments and clutch situations. And the same with Michael Pittman Jr. This is a caveat here. Adonai Mitchell, rookie wide receiver from Texas. He struggled immensely this year. He struggled to find time on the field. He had a lot of drops. I think over time he will develop. We just saw Alec Pierce struggle for the first couple of years of his career. He had a breakout season this season. Give Adonai Mitchell more time. And I do believe that he can be a very good receiving threat with the Colts. I don't know if he can be a top 2 receiving threat because it seems like Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce, they have that on lockdown. Hell, I don't even know if AD Mitchell can come in and be a number 3 wide receiver for them. But as long as he can be that number 4, they will be okay because Josh Downs is easily the best slot wide receiver that they have. 803 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. He averaged 11 yards per catch. So they're very good at the skill position. It just comes down to Anthony Richardson. If he can go out there and hit his potential, the sky's the limit with the Indianapolis Colts. But this is all on Anthony Richardson. And I really hope that it pans out for him and this offense because I want to see them be good and I want to see Anthony Richardson go out there and be a superstar. I'm not completely done on him just yet, like how I am on Will Levis, because Will Levis has played more games in college and he's just a turnover machine. But when I look at Anthony Richardson, it may be too much too soon. It will be smart of the Indianapolis Colts to go out there, not draft a quarterback because you're dealing with yet another rookie, but it'll be smart to go out there, bring in a veteran guy that could come in, be a bridge, help Anthony Richardson learn the game, put him in that mentor role, and then see what you have of Anthony Richardson. But I feel like the Indianapolis Colts, they're hard-headed. They're going to stick him right back out there. And if he struggles, they're going to stick with him and his struggles. But it was more than just Anthony Richardson and his struggles that cost the Indianapolis Colts football games this season. Hell, the Indianapolis Colts went 8-9 this year, which is shocking because of how bad their offense was at times and how bad their defense was also. And speaking of this defense, they have a brand new defensive coordinator. This is something that I did not touch on the last time that I talked about the Indianapolis Colts because at the time, Gus Bradley was still their DC. He's no longer here. They're bringing in Coach Lou, who's the former DC for the Cincinnati Bengals. In the past, he has done a lot of great things with the Cincinnati Bengals. He has given Patrick Mahomes a lot of hell with his defensive fronts, with how he's able to mask coverage on the back end. But this season that we just came off of, the Cincinnati Bengals had one of the worst defenses in the NFL for majority of the season against the pass and also against the run at times. This is a risky move. He is a better defensive mind than Gus Bradley, yes. And this is a defense, they needed a brand new defensive coordinator because they were 25th in passing defense, 23rd in rushing defense. For me to come in here and to play advocate for Gus Bradley, they dealt with a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. But in back-to-back years, their defense regressed. Coach Lou, if this doesn't work out, this is going to be a terrible look on Shane Steichen. Coach Lou, veteran defensive play caller, maybe he can get the most out of that front seven and the back end of this defense. But the Indianapolis Colts, they can at least be a top 15 passing defense, a top 15 rushing defense with the talent that they have. Because to also play advocate for Coach Lou here, he was not dealing with the best talent with the Cincinnati Bengals on that side of the ball. You had Cam Taylor-Britt as your true number 1. You had Trey Hendrickson, easily your best defensive player. He was your best pass rusher. No one else could get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. Sam Herbert, he wasn't going to be your guy either. He wasn't going to be a star pass rusher this season alongside Trey Hendrickson. But when I look at the Indianapolis Colts, they have the talent to go out there and get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. Kwity Paye had 8 sacks on the year. DeForest Buckner missed some time this season, 6.5 sacks. He's a very good run stopper. You have Grover Stewart. Grover Stewart is a very good run stopper in his own right. EJ Speed is a tackle machine. 93 solo tackles, 1 interception. Zaire Franklin is also another tackle machine. 93 solo tackles, 3.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. And you have Latu, who you drafted in the first round. 4 sacks on the year, 3 forced fumbles. And you have Samson Ebukam, who missed all of this season dealing with an injury that he suffered in training camp. But the last time we saw him, 9.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. I don't know if he's going to be the same pass rusher that he was before he suffered that injury, but he's a very solid guy to have around as a rotational pass rusher. So they have a good rotation there as long as they can stay healthy and as long as they can keep those guys together on the field. I like their front seven a lot, from the linebackers to the defensive pressure that they can add in. On the back end, they need a lot of work. Juju Brents, I think that he can be a solid cornerback. Had a solid season last season, but this year dealt with injuries yet again. This is back-to-back years now. Can he stay healthy enough on the back end of this defense? Because when he misses time, the first couple of games that he comes back in, he looks rusty, which is expected. But you can't give up those big plays that they gave up this year on the back end with a guy like Coach Lou. Jalen Jones was at the right cornerback position. 12 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble. You have Julian Blackman at the strong safety position, 3 interceptions, 4 pass deflections. So there's talent there. And you have Kenny Moore, who's holding things down in the nickel with 3 interceptions, 7 pass deflections. They have the talent. That's the crazy thing about the Indianapolis Colts, their defense. They don't have top-end talent, but their talent was better than being 25th in passing and 23rd in rushing defense. That's why they moved off of Gus Bradley. Hell, they lost a game against the Green Bay Packers this year due to the turnovers of Anthony Richardson and the fact that they could not stop the run. So they have to go out there and have more gap responsibility, something that Coach Lou is great at doing. Even this season, you didn't see quarterbacks go back there and run that much against the Cincinnati Bengals defense unless it was Jaden Daniels. And he's a rookie. They did not have a full game plan, have to go out there and basically get the football out of his hand. And I will also say this about Coach Lou. He will blitz more to put pressure on the opposing quarterback to help out the back end of the defense. But they need him to be a strong defensive coordinator in this division, dealing with Trevor Lawrence and also with CJ with the Houston Texans, and possibly Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders with the Tennessee Titans. The Indianapolis Colts, they have the right pieces, but it comes down to the ownership with Jim Irsay, who has not been a good owner over the last decade. And I look at Chris Ballard. You've had some hits in the NFL draft. I will give him that. But it's also been a lot of misses. And the fact that your team has not won this division since 2014, that says a lot about your general manager. You have to go out there and you have to bring in the right pieces. And when you're rolling dice at the quarterback position, year in and year out, when you brought in Frank Reich to be your head coach, Chris Ballard made those decisions. Chris Ballard went out there and brought in those quarterbacks. He also brought in Anthony Richardson. So if he succeeds or fails, that's also on his resume. So you can't come in and just make the excuses for Chris Ballard, because a lot of the decisions he has made. Hiring Shane Steichen, I like the move. I think that he could be a very good head coach with the right quarterback. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson moving forward? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.